Who'd you talk to? What's going on? Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday night, February 8th, 2023. Now, the legit paranormal news. Good evening and welcome to Legit Paranormal News. I am King Michael.
I'm Dreamy David Barr.
And now for our top story. David.
All right. So we've heard of structures like Stonehenge and the Glastonbury Tor and the pyramids and all that kind of stuff. We have a similar structure in our own backyard, kind of. It's the Coral Castle. It's located in Homestead, Florida, which is kind of near Miami. Originally called Rockgate Park. It was renamed to the Coral Castle because of the rocks that it's made out of. It looks kind of like coral. So these structures were built single-handedly by 5-foot, 100-pound Latvian immigrant Edward Leedskalnin. He worked on the castle from 1923 until his death in 1951. He quarried and sculpted 1,100 tons, that's tons, by himself, of oolite limestone, also known as coral rock, because it tends to look like coral. So Leedskalnin moved to Florida City, Florida in 1919 at the age of 31. His fiancee left him the day before they were to be married in Riga, Latvia. So he was heartbroken, came to the U.S. to get away. Now, there are some stories and some people that say that he built the Coral Castle to prove to his ex and to the world that he could do something amazing and make something of himself, even though he lived in poverty and he had a 4th grade level education. He used handmade tools to build all of this stuff. I'll have some pictures coming up. Now, supposedly he worked at night and nobody ever witnessed him working on these structures, which included massive tables, chairs, walls, a huge crescent moon, and a sundial, among other things. So when Ed heard that land near his property had been bought, he moved the entire structure to Homestead, Florida. Now, people saw the trailers with the stones on them, but no one ever saw Ed load or unload the trailer. So we don't really know how he did this. Now, the entrance to the new version of Coral Castle was a 9-ton slab of rock, and it was converted into a swinging gate, and you could, with the touch of a finger, you could open this 9-ton gate. Now, engineers discovered that it was balanced on a bearing, but they can't figure out how he managed to get it to move so easily. At one point, the structure was damaged, and a crew had to come in and repair it, but it's never been the same. They can't figure out how he managed to balance that 9-ton rock onto that bearing so perfectly. There's a telescope that weighs 30 tons. It stands 25 feet high, and it's perfectly aligned with the North Star. The sundial that I mentioned earlier tells the correct time. It also indicates the equinox and solstice days. Now, here's an interesting thing. The structure withstood a Category 5 hurricane, Hurricane Andrew, in 2019. Now, homes had been leveled down to the slab, cars turned upside down, sailboats flung into trees. So with the exception of losing the roof to the gift shop, which was something that was built by a corporation that took the park over later on after Ed had died, the castle remained unscathed. So this increases the mystery behind it. There are a number of theories as to how Ed built these structures, but he refused to reveal how he did it. All he would say is that he figured out how the pyramids in Egypt were built, and he used that knowledge to create the coral castle. He also revealed that he understood the laws of weight and leverage very well, and he was big into magnetism and electromagnetic energy. Now, Ed had worked in a lumber yard, and he came from a family of stonemasons. So some of the skills that he had acquired to build these things and the knowledge that he used came from there. There are people that claimed he had psychic powers and that he could levitate the stones. Others would claim that he could sing and tone his voice in a certain way that would levitate these rocks. And others still said he just had an understanding of advanced magnetism and how to use the Earth's magnetic fields to move these rocks. Because there are no records from witnesses, his methods continue to baffle engineers and scientists to this day. And again, Ed's secrets of construction have often been compared to Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids. Now, there's this guy, Orville Irvin. He's a friend of Ed's and a contractor. He disagrees with all the paranormal theories and said that his friend was a dedicated, hardworking man who used the system of hand-built levers and pulleys to move the rocks and create these structures. There are pamphlets that you can buy from the Coral Castle Museum, of course. Supposedly, they cryptically reveal how Ed accomplished everything that he did. He had written about his theories of magnetic currents and something that he called the perpetual motion holder. I tried to find some more on that, but I wasn't able to. So maybe we'll do a follow-up story if I can figure out what that is. His pamphlets also contain some very strong beliefs and opinions. He felt that the schools and churches were cheapening the girls, arranging picnics and coupling girls with the fresh boys and sending them out to the woods, parks, and beaches and other places so they can, in his words, practice first-degree lovemaking. I think he was a little upset by his fiancée leaving him. Ed also had the opinion that the unemployed and powerless should not be able to vote. He said it in his own words, "It is not sound to allow the weaklings to vote. Anyone who is too weak to make his own living is not strong enough to vote because their weak influence weakens the state." So he was a very opinionated guy, little odd. Now, his friend Orville Irvin wrote a book containing photographs, drawings, and schematics showing how he thinks it was all done. So you have these pamphlets left behind by Ed, but you have a book written by his friend Orville. So was the castle created using paranormal methods with a pretty advanced knowledge of physics? Either way, I think that the fact that this guy was 5 feet tall and 100 pounds, he had a 4th grade level education and was able to create this stuff all by himself, it's pretty unbelievable. I hope to visit it someday. I also think it would be a really cool place to do a paranormal investigation to see if the spirit of Ed is hanging around there because he spent so much time and energy working on these structures. So I am going to bring
David,
up...
Let me jump in really quick on that. So
Yeah.
This guy, Ed,
Yeah.
he's a 5-foot guy, about 100 pounds.
Yep.
Right? Angry guy. Angry little guy, right?
Very angry little guy.
Knows all these things about like how to build telescopes, all this stuff. 4th grade education, right? Extremely opinionated. Thinks that the people are weaklings and they should not be allowed to vote. Technically, he hates women. I still can't figure out why his fiance left. I mean,
yeah, right.
Seems like a great guy to me. I mean, I don't know why she would leave somebody this miserable. He's, 5 feet, 100 pounds. That's a strapping guy. Like, usually, like, when I think of, like, Magic Mike, I think 5 feet, 100 pounds. Again, I digress. I wrote here that I would never take my wife to this coral reef. I feel like that if you took your spouse, there might be a chance they end up in the ocean. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
I don't know. There could be a lot of like I feel there's probably a lot of residual energy there, and maybe some of that is pretty angry, since he used all that anger as motivation. You know, kind of like, I'm going to show the world, I'm going to show this woman, you know, what I can do. So there's a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of anger in it. I personally want to go just to get a feel for the energy and see these structures myself. And again, I think it would be really cool to do a paranormal investigation there, because his spirit's got to be hanging around there at least at times.
You know what? But he's miserable. He's a miserable guy. But man, I'll tell you what, I believe that this Orville guy, when he says, it wasn't like paranormal magic, it was just the fact that this guy spent 28 years of his life working on coral and building things and coming up with systems and ways to move stuff. Let me tell you, my papa was a stonemason, and it just seemed like guys of his generation could just build a wall whenever they wanted to. You want stairs? We'll come over and build stairs.
My grandpa did the same thing. I'm sure they're from the same generation.
So, I mean, I'm going back further with this guy. I'm thinking, even at 5 feet, 100 pounds, he's probably ripped. He probably knows all these different ways to move stone or all this other stuff. And he takes that in, right? Breaks up, gets his heart broken, ends up kind of hating lovers, women, the system, how you get paired up. And like, there's no chance for him to get a woman because they just get paired up automatically. Like, angry little. You know what? I'm gonna go on record and say he might be a real jerk.
I don't know. He did have friends, and some of these people said he was a great guy. And while he was alive, you could walk up to the gate, and if he was there, for 10 cents, he would give you a tour of the place and tell you all about the structures.
Was it males only?
No.
Because I'm thinking, like, if it's a girl, if it's a couple, he must be like thinking the whole time, I hope she pulls a hamstring. I hope she twists an ankle. I'm not going to tell about the rock coming up ahead. I hope she trips and hurts herself.
Who knows?
I don't know. That's how I picture him.
I wish this guy was still alive. I would love to have a conversation with him, but nobody could get him to reveal exactly how he built these structures. And again, even with levers and pulleys, this guy's 5 feet, 100 pounds, and he's taking rocks that are like 9 tons. He's quarrying everything. He's carving it all by himself. He's assembling these structures. He's like cementing them in place. It's pretty impressive. Whether it's paranormal or not, it's pretty cool.
That's all right. So that's where it gets weird. And I'll tell you how it crosses over. You say, is it paranormal? Paranormal meaning it's coming from somewhere else other than kind of where we are, the earth. There's moments in all kinds of things, sports, you name it, where something happens or somebody has the ability to do something that you've never seen before. There's always that certain person that they can do something. Doesn't matter what it is. But there's some people that they can do one thing better than anyone else. So could it be that this guy was just one of he kind of like Prince, basically. Same height, same weight, right?
Pretty much.
Oh, the hell of a musician, could play every instrument, right? He's the Prince of stonemasons. Would we agree?
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd thing to agree to. David, I'm going to cut to the sports really quick. Buddy's banging on the drum for the sports. And then after sports, we have Jean Broida. And then we'll have your next story next. And that's how it goes. But now, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to sit through about 5 seconds of dead time because Buddy's not the greatest at editing stuff. Here we go.
Buddy Money Thayer coming to you live from the mountains of Smithfield for this week's edition of Legit Paranormal Sporting News. Now, unless you have your head in your ass, then you would know that the top story of this week's sporting news, or any news for that matter, is Super Bowl 57. That's LVII for you Roman numeral geeks. This year's championship game for the coveted Vince Lombardi Trophy will take place at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, which is just out. It's a little suburb of the beautiful capital city of Phoenix, Arizona. What's paranormal about this? Well, first of all, you can tune into the game at 6:30 p.m. It's on Fox. It's only on Fox. That's channel 11 or channel 511 for the HD version if you're watching here in Rhode Island. But if you're tuning into Sunday night's game, we at Legit Paranormal News ask you to turn down the volume on the game. You'll have the game in front of you on the television. You'll be eating all your food. You'll be watching the game. You know, half of us from New England, we're not Eagles fans, although there are a few of you. There are a few Chiefs fans. But anyway, have the game on. Go on your computer or on your phone or on your tablet. Go to legitpodcast.com and tune into Legit Paranormal Live at 7:05. It'll be a nice hour and a half show where we welcome Rob Gutro, Paranormal Pet Medium. Tune in live 7:05. I digress. Anyway, you ask, what is paranormal about the Super Bowl, about LVII? Is it that the Chiefs are in yet another Super Bowl? Is it that Andy Reid coaches not just the current Chiefs, but also coached the Philadelphia Eagles at one time? No. What is paranormal about my story this evening is how a field reporter like myself on a next to nothing salary paid by Legit Paranormal News could afford a trip out to the Super Bowl and what it might cost and what it might look like. Now, I'm gonna get into this trip, what this trip might look like, and I'm gonna sprinkle in some magical paranormal facts and some lovely paranormal-esque stories to brighten up my highlight of the paranormal sporting week. So here we go. So what a trip out to Glendale might look like for someone like myself. The average ticket price, the starting ticket price to go to the Super Bowl is the cheapest ticket is $6,000. The average nosebleed section seat ranges around $8,837. The most expensive ticket to go to Super Bowl 57 is $24,855. Jesus Christ, Mike, I better be getting a raise.
No way would you ever get a raise. Get a raise for what? What have you done to earn a raise? The Eagles are the worst organization. They're the armpit of the universe of football. And I'm willing to bet you, when you come back on, you'll say something stupid like "Fly, Eagles, fly," because I don't know what's got into you. Talking about a raise, talking about the Eagles.
Fly out of Providence, or Warwick, as us Rhode Islanders call it, and we were to fly out to sunny Glendale, Arizona, or Phoenix, if you will. The round trip cost would be about $735. That's not bad for what was that, economy seating. Now, a man of my stature, I would have to get like a real special seat, or maybe buy two seats. So that might be a little bit more costly for me to fit my fat ass on an airplane. But I don't know. We'll say $735 just as a baseline number. The place to stay, though, when I get to Glendale, I found a nice, lovely hotel. It's about 15 minutes from the State Farm Stadium. Say that 5 times. Dreamy David Barr, I dare you. And really fast, though. And it's a nice little drive, nice little short drive down to the stadium. It's called the San Carlos Hotel. It's a lovely old hotel in Phoenix. And like previous times you've seen me on Legit Paranormal Specials, like, for example, Legit Paranormal Vacation Planners, we kind of give you a voir day of where you'd be staying. So for tonight's piece, I'm going to be, hold on, I'm going to see if I can do this right. We'll present, do share screen, I'm going to take you for a walk through the lovely Hotel San Carlos in Glendale, Arizona. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully all the porno is away. Okay. And so here we go. Hotel San Carlos. So, that's nice. That's nice. It's in downtown Convention Center. It's on 202 North Central Ave, Phoenix, Arizona. So here's some of the pictures. Here's what it looks like. Now, the average stay is $169 per night, but that's a nice bureau. for this weekend, if you were to stay Saturday into Sunday and Sunday into Monday, the total trip cost would be $1,100 with taxes. Those are some nice rooms. Look, oh, that's a nice view, right? That's a nice chair. This is what the hotel looks like. Now, when I look at hotels, I look at a few things. I look at cleanliness. That they look pretty clean. Those look like clean bed sheets, although one could never tell when you turn down the sheets what it actually looks like underneath. I look at the bathrooms, and I look to see if they have a pool, because I'm like a kid and I gotta have a pool. So these are some nice rooms. Oh, that's a nice desk. Oh yeah, that's lovely. See, now that bathroom, that's not great for me, because look how small that is. That's a really narrow area between the sink and the toilet and the wall. And to squeeze my fat ass, I don't know. The pool, though, that changes everything. Sunny Phoenix, it's gorgeous. It's like a balmy 70 degrees. It's probably a heated pool on the roof. And they have a workout room, Mike, so you can bench press and make your muscles big. And they have a nice restaurant. That's nice. So when I Googled the Hotel San Carlos, I got these lovely reviews from TripAdvisor, and I'm going to read to you one of my favorite reviews from the hotel. So this comes to us from Jill McKelvey. She's from Greenville, South Carolina. Her and her husband went out there for a nice little trip in November of 2014, and this is what she had to say. I had heard this hotel was haunted. Oh boy. I was skeptical, though. I was reassured the rumors were true. The first night started me hanging a Ghostbusters sign on a lamp as a joke. The lamp immediately burned out. For fun, we downloaded a ghost app. It showed ghosts in and out of our room. Sometimes you would feel a chill come over you from your head to your toes. Sometimes you felt like you were being watched. Our laptop went wacky, our phones went wacky and died on us there in the room, both of them. While in the basement using the business center, a ceiling fan with a pull came on by itself. We didn't pull it. Nothing will top the second and last night we stayed there. While my partner was using the restroom, I jokingly told him the ghost was in there according to our app. He began to beat on the door, telling me I'd have to hurry to get in there. I thought he was joking, so initially I ignored him. He kept telling me to come in there, so I did. The light in the bathroom was smoking and forming into a shape towards him, and the light flickered many colors. We videotaped this, and looking into the phone, the light was so bright in there you could not make out the bathroom. When we would pan over the room area, the picture was fine. Oh, so we get to see a more detailed look at the rooms. That's nice. In the bathroom. The staff is wonderful and moved us to another room. Once inside, we were feeling very eerily, it says eerily, even though it was very eerie, and discussing leaving. It took a bag of Doritos that were sitting on a desk with us on the other side of the room to fly across the room all by itself in caps lock. That was it. The staff was accommodating and refunded us for the night. The hotel itself is charming and old, a great stay for those wanting to experience the paranormal. The activity in our room was outrageous. Go to YouTube and look up and see more. So, the editors at Legit Paranormal News were able to secure this footage that she spoke of, and this is the footage I'm going to play for you now from this haunted bathroom at the Hotel San Carlos.
Look at the light.
Are you videoing it?
Yeah, but look at the light. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. And that's just normal. You're just normally looking at it.
Yeah,
There's nothing unusual.
I don't even have my light on.
No. Look at it. Now go over here in this part of the room. Normal. Now go in here.
Oh my God. Let's get our stuff and leave. I'm serious.
Look at that. Down there, up here. Now go here.
You can't even see the light. Look, you see how bright it is?
Look here. Normal. Look at that light. Any light. No problem. Look at the one where she is. Can you just turn that light?
Wait, look at this video. Look at the light.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know, Dave. Maybe that's more more appropriate for our clip show tomorrow night, but that's what this fat kid would do. He would go out to Glendale. He would stay at the Haunted Hotel. He would try and experience the ghosts that occupy that Hotel San Carlos in Glendale, Arizona. That would be paranormal for sure. And that's this week's edition of Legit Paranormal News, Sporting Edition, or Paranormal Sports, or whatever we're calling it these days. Broadcasting live for you. I'm sorry, reporting live from the mountains of Smithfield. This is Buddy Money Thea for Legit Paranormal News. Jesus Christmas, I'm out. Go EAGL.
And there it is. Bengals 34, Eagles 31. Gainwell with the most yards. I don't even know what that was about, Dave. I don't know if you were following that. I think that was me, but it wasn't me. And I mentioned the Bengals who aren't in the Super Bowl. Now, I also got confused when Buddy said, "Oh, that's a nice bureau. Oh, that's a nice desk. Da 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 da." And I also wrote down what the and listening to Buddy read is better than any sleep medication I can think of. Your thoughts, David?
Him asking for that raise, I thought maybe he had some liquid courage. You know, we have those legit paranormal brews that are rather tasty.
Yeah. I don't know why he'd ask for a thing, and he was about to go into his whole Eagles fly. Do not them. Do not support them. Sorry.
What was it he wanted me to say 5 times fast? Was it State Farm Stadium, State Farm Stadium, State Farm Stadium, State Farm Stadium, State Farm Stadium?
Yeah. There it is, buddy.
It's pretty easy when you're sober, buddy.
Try this one, David. One smart fellow, he felt smart.
One smart fellow, he felt smart. One smart fellow, he felt smart.
Wait,
one smart fellow, he smelled.
There
you got me.
Stay with me. No, just stay with me. Don't say it 5 times. Just repeat after me. One smart fellow, he felt smart.
One smart fellow, he felt smart.
Try to say it as fast as I do. 2 smart fellows, they both felt smart.
2 smart fellows, they both felt smart.
3 smart fellows, they all felt smart.
3 smart fellows, they all felt smart.
Oh, you're always saying smell. You're stopping yourself on the sm. I think we can get proof that you're going sm. There's been no kid
I'm catching myself.
There's not a little kid alive that can get to 10. You start off with 1 smart fellow, he felt smart. Then it's 2 smart fellows, they both felt smart. And then from there on out, it's 3 smart fellows, they all felt smart. 4 smart fellows, and if I can get to 10, I've never had a kid be able to not say smelt fart. And that's incredible news here.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to not say that.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Rubber baby bubby bump. See?
Another one.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of cutting edge, speaking of tongue twisting,
mind bending.
It's jet fuel. Jean Broida. How are you, Jean?
Hey, everybody. Jet Fuel Jean here, rocketing in for another great Wednesday night treat. Yes, it's legit paranormal news. Once again, with our excellent host, King Mike L. and Dreamy David Barr. Happy to be here. And you know what I have to talk about this week.
Oh, I know.
I'm in the field. I'm doing the news. There's only one thing in the news, in paranormal news, and that's the Chinese spy balloon. There have been so many memes about this. I am so amused at one level and yet profoundly disturbed at another level. So let's get into it, shall we? I think a lot of people know that about a week ago, a UFO, an unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, was sighted over Montana in the United States, and people started taking pictures of it, film of it, video of it, and it wasn't too long before the United States government announced that, yes, indeed, we know this is there, and it is a Chinese surveillance balloon or spy balloon. So the question that sprang into a lot of people's minds immediately was, why don't we shoot it down? because it's spying on us. And 5 days later, it was shot down. So let's begin at the beginning. There's some detail here I think is worth sharing. And I am going to share through my screen. And I hope I can. There we go. All righty. I want to show you the path of this balloon. All right. Hopefully you
It's
can
not
see
an
this.
easy thing to do, Gene. I'm going to help you right here.
Here we go. We're on. Can you see this?
Yes, we can.
We're at the heavy.com breaking news page. Okay. This is very curious. This is a partial path. So this thing actually launched in China, which if the map extended to the left, it would, can you see my cursor? It would be out here. It left China and it's a balloon, right? So it floats around and the winds push it. And depending on altitude, the winds travel in different directions. That's the basic concept of how balloons fly. So it went up and over a flat map of the Earth, not, you know, that doesn't really account for curvature. The thing made a parabolic track and entered, it actually swept up the Aleutian Islands of Alaska and then floated over part of northwestern Canada and then entered the United States airspace over Idaho and quickly into Montana, and was first really spotted in Montana. And people started publishing photos of this thing and saying, UFO, UFO. Well, it wasn't long before it was identified. And the Biden administration decided to let it float on down. You can see it made a leisurely, these things float pretty slowly. And the altitude, by the way, is about 80,000 feet. Okay. So this thing was floating, floating, floating. It took about 4 days to get all the way to Georgia, South Carolina, and it floated out to sea. And that's when the US military shot it down because it would not pose any significant threat to anything on the ground, be it living or property. So there was concern about property damage. However, the point was raised, what kind of property damage might we expect in the wilds of Montana where it was first spotted? The only thing up there are grazing lands and are one of our arrays of missile fields that are pointed toward Russia and China. You don't think they'd have any interest in those, do you? All right, so that's the first thing. Now, let's get into this. This is very interesting, what the Chinese had to say about this event. So here's Chinese propaganda about the event. I'm just going to read this, parts of this. This was a woman who was representing the Chinese Communist government. It's a YouTube video titled "China Responds to Alleged Spy Balloon Shot Down Over U.S." And the opening gambit is worth noting. Here's how this starts. The unintended entry of the airship into the U.S. airspace is a completely isolated and accidental incident. Okay, well, let's just stop right there. That's false. There have been repeated sightings in various places around the world, which we're going to explore in a minute. The rest of this announcement goes on to say that this was an opportunity for the United States to show that it could be calm in negotiating an event like this. There was nothing to see here. There was no there, and that basically the United States let the Chinese down because we overreacted with show of force. So that's the Chinese position, that it was a one-off event. It was a commercial craft. It was just measuring weather and stuff. I mean, really, come on, guys, you overreacted totally. So let's go on into this, down this rabbit hole. What happened next? Next was observations on the part of people in the United States and our allies about what's the bigger picture here. Okay, so here we have CNN Politics, title or headline, "Spy Balloon Part of a Broader Chinese Military Surveillance Operation, U.S. Intel Sources Say." Okay, several staff writers on this. This is big, big news. Okay, so here's some retrieval going on. And in fact, the recently recovered Chinese spy balloon is thought to be part of an extensive surveillance program run by the Chinese military, according to multiple American officials familiar with this intelligence. Okay, so this program out of China includes a number of similar balloons run out of the province of Hainan, wherever that is. The U.S. does not know the precise size of the fleet, but the program has conducted at least 24 missions over at least 5 continents in recent years. Okay, so we're not alone. We're all being spied on. The balloon was, let's see, not all of the balloons sighted around the globe have been exactly the same model as the one shot down off the coast of South Carolina on Saturday for retrieval out of the ocean, which is what this is showing here, the retrieval out of the ocean. It was interesting to note that it was citizens of South Carolina who were cautioned not to shoot down the balloon. Don't mess with South Carolina. So these remnants are being collected by intelligence agencies in the United States, led by, I want to get this right, going off to Quantico, Virginia. So FBI engineers will analyze this. They're poring over the remnants of the recovered balloon, and it's thought they may be able to piece together the whole thing to see what kind of intelligence it might have gathered and how to track surveillance balloons in the future. Well, there's got to be some truth in here, but I'm thinking this isn't the whole truth and nothing but the truth. There's a lot of questions about why the United States would let a spy balloon waft leisurely like across the United States and then respond by shooting it down. That's one thing. Another thing is we know that the Chinese collect data about the United States in many different ways. They had manufactured hard drives shipped all over the world and many, many thousands into the United States. This was 10, 20 years ago, that a program was uncovered that had gone on for many years, where hard drives were tapped basically with chips that sent signals with the data captured on these hard drives back to communist China. So we know they're interested in what other countries are doing. This is not news particularly. However, this whole wafting balloon thing, this is kind of new. And it took people by surprise. I think that's part of the reason why it's getting so much press. This is really getting a lot of press. One more thing before I wrap up. I wanted to show you another slant on this. Yeah, here we go. Huffington Post had more to say about the broader brush here, the vast surveillance program that's going on. That they are repeating some of the information that we had before. They're naming names of places in the world. Naturally, China has denied that the balloon shot down was used for spying purposes. As I said before, it's a weather balloon, but the Pentagon says, oh, well, it was carrying sensors and other equipment, and they're going to find out, they're going to get to the bottom of it. But more to the point, here we go. The FBI teams in Quantico are studying whether the balloon had capabilities to store information or send signals in real time to China. So all this is important to the intelligence community. And the muckety-mucks over at security commands in the United States, this is the American Aerospace Defense Command, they're going to powwow and hubbub and harumph, and I'm sure set some new national policy on how to respond to this sort of thing. All right, well, where does this leave us, basically? Where this leaves us is with perhaps more questions than answers. And I ran into a YouTube video just before the show tonight. I have to show just a little bit of this. Something strange that people are not talking about. I want to give credit to End Time Productions here on YouTube, this channel. I'm not familiar with it, but I really like what they've done here. They've identified that in 1958, the United States,
as part of Operation Hardtack,
the United States, I was trying to do that again, launched an operation called Hardtack, and it had a sub-operation that involved flying balloons with basically with small nuclear devices suspended underneath. And what they found, I'm just going to cut to the chase here. What this research found with, by the way, megatonnage. So these are very large explosions. Okay. What happened was that they found that when you detonate these devices at several thousand feet of altitude, there's a much greater EMP, electromagnetic pulse, such to the point that this article goes on to say that this study, I hope you can see this, electromagnetic pulse program status report. This was August 17th, 2020. Here, let me just make this big. Okay. This was just 2.5 years ago. The conclusion here was that, and by the way, this electromagnetic pulse commission was recently defunded. That raises a lot of questions in my mind. So what kind of damage could this inflict on the country? And the former EMP Commission's chairman, William Graham, and its former chief of staff, Peter Vincent Pry, referred to North Korea using an EMP as a doomsday scenario and said it could be used to it could use its demonstrated satellite launcher to carry a nuclear weapon over the United States. And the result could be to shut down the U.S. electric power grid for an indefinite period, leading to the death within a year of up to 90% of all Americans because there wouldn't be any power anymore. Well, that's a lot to wrap the head around, it seems to me. When is a spy balloon not merely a fancy takeout order? Well, we just saw it. Back to the studio.
Well, Jean, that's fascinating. So here's where I stand on this. First off, I think balloons are stupid. If you've ever seen a movie and there's balloons in the movie, ask yourself, why are there balloons in that scene? Because balloons are always in scenes they just shouldn't be in. I've been to the park. There's not just random balloons tied to benches. Now, as far as this balloon that went over the country, here's the thing. Should have saw it coming. Didn't see it coming. Maybe we did. Now, they said that at one point it would be what? A 200 to 400 square mile wreckage if they shot it down. That's what the first report was. So that's why we're like, all right, yeah. Now cut to that footage of that balloon being pulled out of the water. And Dave, I don't know about you, but that looked like a little cleanup that maybe me and you I can do. Like you just roll out there with a boat, grab that parachute stuff, put it on the boat, we'll roll back in. I mean, the rowing's the toughest part. But my point is, they said a 200 to 400 square mile radius explosion thing if they did it over the U.S. None of that makes sense to me. If it's just a weather balloon, why was it such a gigantic wreckage? It could kill people, ruin homes. It's a balloon. And secondly, let me just add this. One of the biggest ways to prove that somebody is not in control or tough enough to be the main power still is to just float a balloon right across their country and see what they do. And when they don't do a single thing, but let it go all the way across the country, it's like, hey, let's go take this part. Hey, we're taking that back. That's our land. They're not gonna do nothing. They'll let us fly a balloon. David, your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't really know what to think. I don't know why it was so hard to shoot down myself. It's a balloon. Maybe you find a way to make a tiny hole in it. Slowly let the air out.
No, that's not even it, too.
Bring
On
it
top
down.
of that, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but Gene, let me ask you this. So you heard about the square mile of wreckage that it would cause. That's their reasoning for why they didn't shoot it down. Especially, I'm thinking when it came up across the Northwest, who lives in the Northwest? No offense to anybody up in Portland, Oregon, but honestly, there's so many areas in the Northwest you could have shot that thing down. 200 to 400 square mile radius is ridiculous, but still, even out there, shoot it down, right? Shoot it down. Shoot it down there. Don't let it get anything else. No, we let it float all the way across, and then we do shoot it down. It kind of comes down just like a balloon, Gene. Do we not have jets that have hooks? That can fly by super fast and hook a balloon and just take it with it. We have to make it explode. We have no other tech. The A team could have figured out a way to get that balloon out of the sky without blowing it up. They would have had to probably give B.A. Baracus something to make him fall asleep because he doesn't fly. But then, like Crazy Mad Murdoch could fly a plane. I'm guaranteeing it with you in face and whatever. They'd all hook it in. I'm sorry, Gene. I mean, I don't buy this whole thing. I think it's stupid. I think it's poor leadership on our part, and I think it's just a bit of a middle finger on our face. What do you think, Gene?
I think we're getting back to spy versus spy versus spy versus spy, which I've talked about before from Mad Magazine, point, counterpoint, whatever you want to call it. I was just checking the stats on how high the highest jet can fly. It says the Concorde can fly up to 60,000 feet. The balloon was at 80,000. So other analysts were thinking along this line, King Mike L., and they had basically the same comment. If we shot it down over Montana, so what? It might take out a few cows. You know, it might actually land on top of a military installation, but so what, basically? Certainly some property damage. It could set a grass fire. That might be a negative consequence, certainly. We don't want to gratuitously destroy property, but we're talking about national security here. And consider what happens when a genuinely unidentified flying object, or UAP, comes into American airspace. Interceptor jets are launched immediately. They chase after these things. We had none of this activity here. Another point raised was, why would the Chinese use such antiquated technology? Balloons. And by the way, the rigging under the balloon keeps the thing aloft, of course, and underneath it is a satellite-looking array of sensors, right? A sensor, and that's metal. That looked like that could poke you in the eye. You know what I'm saying? That could break your arm if it landed on top of you or go through the roof of your house. You wouldn't want that cascading down on you. Odds are that over Montana, it probably wouldn't have done a lot of damage. The fact that we now know that our government knew that these kinds of balloons had been spotted over other countries makes me believe that as soon as it was spotted over Montana, it had probably already been spotted off the coast of the Aleutians by some kind of U.S. sensing equipment. Let's hope so. Although it's small enough that it might be able to evade that detection. I'm no expert on this technology. But apparently we can't dispatch a plane to fly up that high just to shoot at. It's not that simple. Okay.
All right. Let me ask you this then.
And it's a small target, although I'm sure that we could send a directed missile to take it down. Right?
Let me ask you this.
A laser-guided missile.
Never mind the missiles. Let's stay off the missiles. What if we did this? What if me and Dave got into a plane that had gigantic fans and we just blew the wind because this is a stupid balloon that we're supposed to believe is just floating precariously towards our country all the way across perfectly. We can't change the wind flow. We can't get enough jets up there to change how the air goes and blow that balloon back over Canada.
Yeah, we should have just had everybody take in a deep breath all at once, all across the nation, and just point ourselves in the direction of the balloon, step outside or open a window, and everybody exhale all at once. Do you remember that meme before we even had memes where everybody said, if everybody on one side of the earth jumps up and down all at once, we could tilt the earth?
I'm being serious. Listen.
I'm sorry,
Dave,
I'm not.
Dave, they
Mike,
go
I think you just want
hoses.
revenge. I think you want revenge on Canada blowing the Chinese spy balloon there because they sent us the super pigs that we talked about last week.
Listen, get a hose. Shoot water at the balloon. Make it change its trajectory. Why was that never an option? Just shoot some water at it. Figure out a way to change the airflow. Do something to get it so that it doesn't go all the way across the country like a big middle finger in our face.
Letting it go across the country was intentional. Make no mistake about it. That was a political decision. Why? Who knows? Is the U.S. government in league with communist China? That's the question nobody really wants to ask. But you have to ask it because this is ridiculous, quite honestly. The response was ridiculous. And as you say, it showed the United States to be weak in terms of leadership, and it gave China the opportunity to have years of neenering. The United States over-responded And
it
of
was,
course, our allies won't buy that, but theirs will, right?
allies are laughing that it's a balloon. David, over to you.
All right. I just want to cut back to the Coral Castle. I want to show some pictures just so people have an understanding of the craftsmanship and the work that Ed put into this.
Okay.
So let me see if I can share my screen here.
Ed would be very disappointed that you can't share your screen when he could make 400-ton boulders become doors. Just saying.
All right.
Just saying.
So here we have a picture of Ed. This is the man himself.
Can't see it.
Oh,
You'd have to go to present and then present it like Gene did, and I can add it once it comes into the green room. But I can pretend to be Ed while you wait. You look like this,
All right.
Dave?
hang on. I
Was he
got
more
it.
serious? Like, okay, here we go.
All right. So this is Ed.
All
That's the
5
man.
feet, 100 pounds of them.
5 feet, 100 pounds of Ed. Now I'm going to cut over to the gallery. So this is one of the towers, part of one of the towers. It's the second tower window. So think about this. This 5 foot, 100-pound guy built all these structures, moved all these rocks into place. He quarried them himself. He carved them himself into these shapes. So we have some gardens that he planted along with them. This is the back wall and the gate. Here's the castle grounds. As you can see, there are some tourists there. Mike, to answer your question, yes, there are some women there. In the back, you can see the crescent moon over here. One of the towers. It's a nice wide angle shot. It's a close-up of the rocks. So he built some planets. Looks like we have Saturn, probably Jupiter. Now, these are some of the pulleys and chains that he used when he quarried the rocks. There's the entrance. And just look at the size of the tower next to the entrance. Again, this 5 foot, 100-pound guy did this by himself. Some of the walls and gardens. Put a fountain in there. Close up. Here's the front of the castle. Here's the inside of the entrance. Another one. The insurance sign. I guess this guy thought of everything. It's registered with the National Register of Historic Places. Here's the outer wall. And as you can see right here, 10-cent admission. Just drop it below. And if he was there, he would come out and give you the tour himself. I mean, some of these are some pretty big structures. He built some tables and chairs.
That's the Moon Knight symbol. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Maybe he did know the secrets of Egypt. Maybe he had one of the Egyptian spirits whispering in his ears. So here's one for you, Mike, the repentance corner. So you go here to repent. And then when you were there, if you rang this bell twice, again, he would come out. Little seating area that he made. The seating area in the planets. Here's the side. And some of that's supposed to be the quarry where he got some of the rocks. Table. I can't imagine those are comfortable, though. And then here's one of the towers and one of the windows. So that's just some of the area that you can see.
That's phenomenal for a 5 foot, 100-pound guy to do.
Who did this all by himself. And I don't know, I forgot if I mentioned this or not. He tended to work at night. because he wanted the privacy and he didn't want anyone to witness what he was doing.
Shady. He's a shady little guy.
Yeah.
Also, it's extremely hot in Florida in the daytime, I have to say. But I got here a little late, but Dreamy Dave, did you mention that neighbors observed acts of levitation or apparent acts of levitation with these mammoth stones?
So there are reports that some people did see him do some kind of levitation. Other people reported that he was chanting and toning, and the sound of his voice was creating the vibration to lift up these rocks. I don't know how credible those sources are. It's something to look more into. I just think it's a fascinating place, and it's a pretty cool story.
Now, Dave, I know you had a little thing on mummies that you wanted to kick into, but I'm going to take a chance to step in here and let you know the news that I did today. I put a lot of thought into this, so I thought I'd go through it with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, if I were to create the paranormal universe for a cinematic cause, meaning I would cast actors as if they were paranormal entities so that I had this Marvel type universe, right? Where I can do multiple movies as solos and crossovers. Here are my 30 paranormal entities and who I would have play them. First off is Dracula. That's easy. Denzel Washington. It's got to be Denzel. Nobody's smoother than him. Dracula needs to be smooth. Second, Wolfman, Brad Pitt. Why? He still sells tickets. I'm trying to put people in seats. I'm not going for acting. Dr. Frankenstein, Jason Statham. Why? Love that guy. Love every movie he ever made. And why can't Dr. Frankenstein throw kicks? Frankenstein, Tom Hardy. He played Bane. He could play Frankenstein, I'm telling you. The creature from the Black Lagoon, Johnny Depp. Perfect. Come on. Of course he comes from Black Lagoon. The Mummy, Al Pacino. Imagine a mummy that goes, like some dust on me now. The Boogeyman, Keanu Reeves. The Banshee, Tom Cruise. Because if you stop and think about it for 2 seconds and you think about what a banshee is, how it yells, and it's like aggravating voice can just penetrate and knock stuff down, you think Tom Cruise. Bigfoot, The Rock. 2 aliens, because they always come in twos. Don't know why, they just do. Ryan Reynolds and Chris Evans. Perfect heads for aliens. I believe it. The Zombie, Henry Cavill. It's kind of my little inside dig on his acting career, but also he'd make a great zombie. The Unicorn, Mark Wahlberg. Hey, how you doing? I'm Mark Wahlberg. I'm a unicorn. Say hello to your mother for me. The Griffin, Zach Galifianakis. The Minotaur, Vin Diesel. The Mermaid, Debbie Ryan. The girl that used to be on Jesse. That's a personal problem that I have. Medusa, Whoopi Goldberg. A fairy. Now, again, when we say fairy, this is in all high regards. You know, we don't mean what they meant back in the day. But the fairy, Ben Affleck. I'm just soaking in it. Give me a minute. The Ghost, Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm selling tickets. A Goblin, George Clooney. Come on, he's still going to be handsome. Even if you try to make him look like a goblin, you're going to be like, oh, that's the most handsome goblin I've ever seen. A gnome, Joe Pesci. That's easy. Cyclops. I thought about this one long and hard. Edward Norton. An ogre, Chris Hemsworth. Here we go now. Frogman, Matt Damon. Dogman, Sylvester Stallone. One of the finest actors of our generation, my opinion. Mothman, Harrison Ford. Yeah, he'd do a good Mothman. He's got to be a little older. You know, Mothman's been around, you know. Owlman, Robert De Niro. The Jersey Devil, Mel Gibson. Come on. And then 2 left. The Skunk Ape, Hugh Jackman. And finally, this was the easiest one of my favorite. The Chupacabra, Danny DeVito. So right there, you have now the paranormal universe. These are all the characters that can just go out, start making movies, do crossovers, have one where they all have to come together because like the Ghostbusters are out to try to kill all the monsters. Something like that. Bring back the old Creature double feature on a Saturday when I was a kid. That's all I got to say about that. David, what else? What you got any comments?
I loved the Creature double feature when I was a kid.
The best.
It was. My dad and I would sit there and watch that. They need to bring stuff like that back.
Oh, the Godzilla ones. Dude, let me tell you something. There was like a time where Abbott and Costello into the Creature double feature was like the greatest moments of my life. Like, forget the school week, forget everything else. Abbott and Costello meets Dracula, meets this one, meets that one. They have the one where they meet them all at once. And then boom, all of a sudden Godzilla's on some sort of island where there's all the monsters fighting. And he's got a kid for some reason. Like, it got crazy back in the day. And then they show you Mr. Big's Toyland, which was a toy store that was too far for us to drive to. And I hated it because it had every single Voltron, Transformer, you name it, they had it. We couldn't get there. Thanks for bringing that up, Dave. I don't know how.
You forgot Wonder Woman. There were no women in your list. Wonder Woman, Catherine Zeta-Jones. I rest my case.
I didn't cast.
Wait, you had the mermaid though.
Yeah,
but you cast a man as the mermaid.
No. I cast Debbie Ryan.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
What about Ryan?
So we had a Smurfette in that list of all male characters.
No, I would put my.
Don't mind me. I'm the token feminist in the room.
No, I know that. I would go with what's her name? She played can't remember her name now. Scarlett Johansson is one of my favorite actresses. But I purposely did this because I'm just trying to hire. Let's be honest, Gene. Hollywood's corrupt. The world's a bit corrupt. People are, whether you want them to be or not, a little bit chauvinistic. Men really buy the most theater tickets. They're the ones that are stupid enough to buy a T-shirt, get a tattoo of it, do all those other dumb things about movies. So I'm pandering to. I mean, I wouldn't cast half these people. They can't even act.
Pandering to your 12-year-old male audience, no matter what their actual age is.
Well,
I get that.
12
I'm just being a burr under your saddle blanket. That's all.
I know, but I'm thinking from a production level. Like, in other words, I wouldn't put me to star in a movie because I want to make money back. So I go get these guys. You know what I mean? That's.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I'll calm down. All right, Dave. Any last words before we do a little bit of a wrap up here?
I think you know whatever you want. I think you know some puppets that you could cast.
Oh boy, puppets. Yeah, I got some boy, did I got some feedback from that show. I got basically 2 types of feedback. One was, oh my God, the puppets are really funny. And 2, are you crazy? Yeah, because like they're like, did you do all those voices? I'm like, yeah. They're like, because Monday I showed a whole half hour of puppet content. It was actually 36 minutes, which could be a TV show with commercials. So that's insane. I agree, but also fun. Puppets are fun. Can't bother me. I like puppets. I like taking naps. Gene, what would you like to say to before you wrap up this news? Any other things that we should be on the lookout for or be paying attention to as they jingle the keys in another direction?
Well, first, I love puppets, and you've inspired me to keep an eye out for interesting puppets. It's hard to find interesting puppets. I will say this, that I glanced at a report that said there had been a second spy balloon traipsed over the United States at about the same time as the first one. So my gosh, when will this story end? I don't think it's really ended. I think we're at the verge of something new here. Other news, we had the Green Comet come and go, not to be confused with the Green Hornet. That was, if you missed it, you have to wait another 50,000 years. And too bad if it was cloudy like where I live. you're out of luck. If you care about UFOs and paranormal exploration and government conspiracies, you would want to head over to Amazon and check out my book, Unknown Objects, the top 10 U.S. UFO cases. That's what I do. I'm an historian and conspiracy factorist. I'm not a theorist. I report facts. And I know, our government has now come out and said that we know UFOs exist. We just don't know what they are, but we're going to defeat them somehow. That's what I covered in last week's show. It's a pleasure to be here with you both. I'm looking forward to next week already. There's just so much going on. Aren't these interesting times in which we live?
Oh my God, they are. David, anything you'd like to say to wrap up?
We got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the upcoming weeks. We got some stories about mummies, prehistoric fish, bringing some dinosaurs back. Are we going to make Jurassic Park a reality? Some crazy stuff going on in AI and robotics. So just keep coming back. We got some good stories coming up for you guys.
Yeah, see, if I talk
joining us tonight.
I'm sorry, if I talk robotics, I get nervous. That's one thing that makes me really nervous. I yell, pull the plug whenever I watch any of those videos out loud like a maniac. Just pull the plug on it. Pull the plug on it. I don't want to know that it has feelings. I've seen too many movies. Pull the plug on it. A couple things I want to go over really quick. Highharvest.net. Highharvest.net. If you're in the Rhode Island area, it provides safe edibles. It's the best way to go. Let's see. Our website is expanded to hold all the shows that we now have at legitpodcast.com. For myself, I do have still my own page. It has all 3 CDs that I released with the band. I think 1 or 2 half-finished CDs with like bootleg songs. It has over 100 of my solo jingles, I'll call them, that I use for the different intros over the 500 podcasts I've now hit. And then I also have the puppets and then any other songs that I did musically. Oh, also, I did write a book with Ronald Murphy about a year ago. I just never promote it. And it's not because it's a bad book or Ronald Murphy's bad. It's just that my mental state just never thinks to do that. But that just brought an idea. I did write a book. So not that it matters, but it's called Between Hell and Heaven. If you ever want to read it, it's actually a good read. It basically goes along the lines of what I believe in, how kids and dogs go straight to heaven. Yeah. And you're right, buddy. There's some SOC. I included everything that I've done, everything I've been a part of. For anyone who's never listened to SOC, I implore you to go check that band out. It's called State of Corruption, SOC. It was one of the first rap rock bands. We actually got noted as that one time. It's one of the first of the Northeast. It was good music. David, you've seen it before. It was fun to be there live.
Yeah, we had some good times back in the day seeing you guys. It was always a good show, a lot of fun, good crowds.
Yeah, it was worth checking out. I'll tell you about those times. What everybody was into was like this very heavy, dark, my parents didn't raise me correct type music. And I say this all the time. One of my fondest memories is I'm at Great Woods. It's the Ozfest. We're working it. Now I'm supposed to be working the gyro thing where you strap people in and then you spin them. But I'm so drunk that me and the guy that I'm with, we can't even strap people in. Like, we should not be the people working this ride. I kept looking at him going, like, do you have insurance? Like, because like I shouldn't be doing this. Anyways, I'm in the crowd, we're walking through the grass of Great Woods, and which used to be great. Great Wood used to be great. Walking through the field in the grass to go and smoke, and I bump into Aaron. Now, Aaron's the lead singer of Stained. He went on to do solo stuff, Aaron Lewis, whatnot. And I remember seeing him. He was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "What's going on with you?" Because I heard that they had gotten signed, the whole Limp Bizkit fall down. And I say it all the time. The one thing he said to me that made me feel like that they had made it was when he told me that they had the same lawyer as Ice Cube. I'm standing in the Great Woods, right? I'm watching a band, and Aaron Lewis passes me something and tells me, we have the same lawyer as Ice Cube. And I remember thinking, you guys are going to be huge. Like that's what I said out loud, because the kid could sing. Like, he always could sing. And like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, if you got the same lawyer as Ice Cube, there's a reason. There's money going around. You know what I mean? Ice Cube's, I would imagine Ice Cube's lawyer is not on call. Not Ice Cube's lawyer.
It's like Rhode Island. You got to know a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. In North Providence, Rhode Island, and I wish you guys had drinks, because I would tell you to drink, because I'm about to speak Italian. I basically have a 3-guy system, meaning I would only need 3 phone calls to get anything done. One guy calls one guy, because that by the time the 3rd call is made, if it's not done, then you shouldn't be around it. But I could get it done 3 calls. Guys, thank you for joining us again tonight. I enjoy the news so much. I look forward to it. It's become its own entity. What I like the most is that on this podcast website, we've now developed different styles and different flows for different shows. Sounds like I'm doing an 80s rhyme for a sitcom, but I'm not. What I'm saying is I like our delivery. I appreciate what you guys bring to the table. Hopefully next week, Maddie will be joining us. We've been trying to get that on. That helps me not have to talk. Bonus. But tomorrow night, make sure you tune in for the Clip Show. We will be joined by Rick Lysick and Roxy the Legit Witch. 2 people that will be joining us for the show. We're going to go over clips that someone submitted. I know Buddy's put together a bunch of good ones. I want to say it's like a paranormal talk soup, but it's not, because we're not there to insult the people. We're just there to see what we see in their footage before they come on and tell us what actually was seen. And I mean, we've seen some really weird stuff that people had to explain to us several times. Like, if I could only find the one, here it is. Now, Gene, see the chair?
I see the chair. I see the chair.
Above it, do you see a phallic symbol with its cousins wearing a Mexican hat?
Yes.
Dave, do you see that too?
I do.
All right. I had to go back and forth over the fact that that's what that was. Like, that's ridiculous looking. It looks like, you know what it looks like, wearing a cowboy or Mexican hat. Either way, whatever. Those sombreros, those big-ass hats. So, there's really you'll never know what we'll see on these shows. Oh, that's right. Tony Rathman is the man that will be here tomorrow night to show off his clips. Hopefully, Tony hasn't already decided to run for the hills after just seeing me talk. But we'll be okay tomorrow, Tony. So, if you have nothing else to say, guys, I'll wrap it up really quickly for us like this. For Dreamy David Barr, for Jet Fuel Jean Broida, it is me, Mike Lebry, King Mike Elders, was the Legit Paranormal News. Brought to you by legitpodcast.com. We will see you again tomorrow night, 8:05. In fact, we stream all our shows live from our website, legitpodcast.com. So you don't have to ask, where can I find the show? Where can I find the show? Thank you, guys. We will see you again.